Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today's September 10th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop, and you can see as I toggle back and forth this trough that's carved itself out across the state of California. Some chilly temperatures for the higher terrain, cooling things down across the state. Some thunderstorm activity with it, maybe even a little bit of snowfall for the Sierra Nevada over the next couple of days. And we'll take a look at the extended forecast as always, because we've got another tropical storm developing to our south that is if any chance to move north. We'll take a look at the latest on that here in a moment as well. So the last 12 hours, few lightning strikes out there, a couple thunderstorms just west of the I-5 corridor there in the Sacramento Valley and some in northeast California as well. A few thunderstorms across portions of Nevada also. And if we look at smoke over the next few hours, we do have the Garnet Fire still producing some smoke. So if you're around that, I do feel for you, but the rest of the state is doing pretty well, all things considered. If you lived across or you live in California here for the next for the last few years or so, you know how bad it can be this time of year. So we're not out of the woods yet, but definitely not a bad sight here over the next 48 hours or so. Now, looking at the Tempest Weather Station, lightning detection system, stores all the data for you in the cloud, all solar powered. You can detach it there. You can mount it in several different ways. Very fun weather station. Help support the channel, and click on the link down below to save 10% off on one. So we got an update here. Disturbance 1, now 90% chance of tropical cyclone formation in 7 days. And if I am not mistaken, it will be named Mario. It has a potential to move just off to the west of Cabo here. We'll be watching that closely and maybe back up towards the southwest USA a little bit here, potentially California. But I'll show you what that means here in a moment in a little bit more detail. And again, should be named Mario. You can see we got the names all the way out to 2030 there. So fun stuff there. Now, looking at the European model, this is the trough we've been dealing with. And you see as we scroll through the day today, through tomorrow, through Friday, still hanging out here across the West Coast and much of the Intermountain West all the way through the day Friday, then finally starts to kick off to the east as we go through Saturday. Very slow moving system. Then we got another system that's going to clip northern portions of California as well. And you can kind of see we don't have any big ridge here as we go through the upcoming weekend. So we're not going to warm up too dramatically or anything. We do have the potential to start warming up as we go through next week. The ridge starts to develop a bit here, and you can see what would be Mario moving off to the southwest of Cabo, and then maybe trying to make an approach towards California. But I'll show you why these have a very difficult time in doing so here in the next couple of slides. Looking at mean sea level pressure on the European, I'm going to scroll through this pretty quick because you don't want to take too much in. You don't want to dig too much into this just yet. But that looks like a pretty strong hurricane as it passes Cabo. So if you're going down to Cabo or anything, you got any interest across the Gulf of California, Baja California, you want to watch out for this storm because that's a pretty mean looking hurricane on last night's European model. You can see that really a buzz saw there. And the timing on this would probably be at some point, some impacts maybe on Sunday or next Monday. Now, looking at 100-meter wind speeds, I'll scroll through that pretty quickly. You can see that is a pretty good buzz saw, pretty strong winds associated with that. And again, at this time frame, this track could easily vary quite a bit. Now, the GFS doesn't show the system becoming as strong, but you can see it there, and you have to watch out for Cabo. That could bring some strong winds, some heavy rains, again, as we go through this upcoming weekend, mainly Sunday and on in through Monday as it spins off the coastline there. Now, the issue with these tropical systems is look at this water here off the west coast of Mexico is extremely warm. Brown, you're talking about 28.5 degrees Celsius, plenty warm enough to support hurricanes. And even this here towards the yellows is, it's good enough to really support a hurricane. But look at this cooler water for Southern California. So even if you bring a huge beastly hurricane, you take the perfect track, it's going to weaken dramatically because just like a dust devil, when you take it off of the hot dusty field and put it over grass or cement, it really rapens quite rapidly, or water or whatever you want to make up. So hurricanes act like dust devils in that respect. They need this very warm ocean water to really thrive. And once you get it off that into the colder water and you put Southern California, they really weaken rapidly. That's why you don't see hurricanes rolling into Los Angeles and things like that, like they do into the Gulf of Mexico and Florida and things of that nature here, because we have this protective shield, this cooler water that dramatically weakens those systems as they do approach. So we got that going for us. Now, taking a look at the European model. So over the next This is through this afternoon. So you can see there is a little bit of snow flying across the Sierra Nevada. And you can see there's some precipitation amounts across the higher terrain as we go through the day today. We go through the day on Thursday, a little bit of a repeat, maybe not quite as widespread, but again, shows some snow flying for the very highest terrain of the Sierra Nevada. We go through Friday, again, still dealing with some showers with this upper level low across Nevada, portions of the Sierra Nevada. Saturday, showers are finally gone. The system finally kicks off to the east. Then we got our next system. It's much weaker and it's just kind of clipping maybe Crescent City out there, northwest California, getting a little bit of precipitation out of that, but not much to it. Now, taking a look at total precipitation in inches over the next 6 days or so, and we'll just kind of scroll out there. You can kind of see what we just looked at. It should make sense. And then that weak system approaching as we go on in through, what is that? Probably on the day, Sunday? That approaches the coastline there, yeah, during Sunday morning. So total snow 10-to-1 ratio, just kind of a novelty here, but I did want to show this. Again, just kind of highlighting that things are pretty raw and brisk across the higher terrain of California. Hunters, people off in the backcountry, hikers, yeah, campers, watch out for that. Now, daily 2-meter min temperatures, just kind of showing you the chilly temperatures, but they do start to moderate here as we go on in through next week, at least somewhat. Now, daily 2-meter max temperatures, not too bad here, but you'll notice we start to get a warm up at the end of the run here. Maybe some ridging building back up over the area. We'll watch that because, you know, it's still September. It's still summertime, at least technically speaking, and we can warm things back up if we get a ridge to set back up over our area. Now, the artificial intelligence, I'll put this into motion, and you can see the next couple of days we're dealing with those showers across the state of California, which is right there where I'm circling with the black circle. That next system approaches as we go through the day. Sunday, again, very weak there. And then you can see what would be Mario out there. Doesn't show up as being that strong of a system there, but could have some impacts on Baja California. And then it does show some of that precipitation just trying to come up there and touch some of Southern California. We'll see if there's anything to that over the next few days. That's way off into the forecast. But also it does show some monsoon moisture, 10 plus days out as well. So again, take that with a grain of salt, but you can see it showing up off through the extended forecast before that finally gets shunted off as we go through the extended. Now, artificial intelligence ensemble mean. So there's our upper level low moving across the area. Let's see. It does show that ridge as we go through next week. So this is going to bump up the temperatures somewhat as we do go through next week. And then we scroll off into the future a little bit more. And at least it doesn't show any huge ridges or anything like that. And it turns things pretty zonal. So no big signal for any kind of huge heat wave. But there is that warm up potentially coming. And this is, again, for next week. 6 to 10 day kind of shows some of that above normal temperature there and kind of a mixed bag across the state of California. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a bump in some of that monsoon moisture across the Southwest USA one more time. And check out the Patreon page down below. Probably a good way to donate some of your hard-earned money. Patreon lets creators keep about 90% of what you donate. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Otherwise, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.